Alright, so here we go. This is my first match using the carry optic setup. First match in a long time with a Glock, and just wanted to take some time to go through and do a match analysis video. Now normally we talk about the different options and stuff like that. This was an indoor match, so there's not a lot of options to kind of go through. I'll address those as they come up, but really it's going to be kind of analyzing what it looks like when I'm shooting this dot gun, because if you're familiar with the channel, you know that I come from the world of production, which has a certain flavor of shooting, and carry optics is more in line with maybe open or definitely limited than it is with production. It's got higher capacity and the aiming should be faster. So through that lens, we'll look at this. I threw all these clips into the Max Michel Shot Coach program to kind of analyze it and get some feedback on what these numbers actually were. So we will jump in on that. Alright, first stage. This is done in the order that I actually shot them. So that was an unloaded start, but these are kind of slow. I mean, for sub 5 yard targets, that should have moved around a lot faster. I mean, all of those are 7 yard targets. Those should all be splitting faster, even the partials. Now, if you jump back, so the bottom target is open. The top target, you've got half an A zone. The target is inverted over the head box of the no shoot, and then the target laid up on the berm actually is a pretty tricky presentation. I think I threw some Charlies on that. So looking at the numbers, really you can see spent a lot of time splitting on this stage, and my average being about 0.4. It really should have been about 0.35. So I mean, there's maybe a half second there on the splits. Movement was fairly aggressive, pretty happy with that. I was leaning out of position as I was breaking my last shot, probably using a little bit too much care for that position. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, you can watch my body position. So kind of come into this position here, and you can see, so right there you can see how I start to see I'm already starting to lean, and then shot breaks and I'm already starting to move out of position. So that's an easy exit, and that's appropriate. I should have launched a little bit harder. I kept both hands on the gun intentionally so I wouldn't try and reload, because it's the first stage where I didn't have to reload while moving. You could see that was real good, shot in the position real well there, so real pleased with that. So by the time my weight is still shifting and settling as the shot breaks, so I'm real pleased with that. But probably too much time in transition and too much time in the splits, so we can work on that and cut some of that out. So second stage, this is a field course. All of these targets that you see in front of me are about 5 yards and in. There is a 4 target array that you're not going to be able to see without my hat cam too well because I'm in the frame, but there's a partial kind of obscuring all of those targets. So we'll just watch the stage and then we'll commentate. Again, that was a good easy exit. You can see my weight shift, so I'm pleased to see that happening, so that's good. Pretty hard launch, kept both hands on the gun because I'm only moving about 3 or 4 yards to the next position. So I'm kind of, the gun was up when it needed to be, so I got 3 targets to the left of the barricade and then 3 targets to the right. You can't really see because of where the camera is, but these are 2 targets cut in half, stacked on top of each other below this little half no shoot. So the way that no shoot looks, it's cut in half. That's what those targets are. If you watch the actual match video, I think you can see them. Somebody ended up calling during this, so the last couple shots were cut off and made the video go weird. So all of those, like if you look at the numbers that were splitting right there, 3, 4, I mean a 40 and a 35 for what I'm doing, at least with my Shadow 2 before I switched to this dot gun. I was splitting like 0.35 at 25 yards on some drills, so I need to reestablish that confidence, because these are, you know, partial targets within 5 yards, and I really don't come into the position on that open target quite like I'd want to. So that, I mean, that was no good. That was, what was that split? So 0.41 split there. 0.53 transition, which is probably, you know, the better part of a tenth over what it should have been, switching onto a partial there. And that was a 0.38. That's 0.35. That's about what I'd want to see. 0.34, that's pretty good. The split was closer to half, I believe, there. 3/4 second. And then I was shooting about 0.45. So, I mean, for those partials being, I mean, those were probably 13, 14 yards away. There wasn't a lot to aim at there, so that was appropriate. Let's see, that's where it messed up. So this is the same thing. You can see those targets that we were just talking about on the other stage. Now, I wanted to draw to these targets instead of drawing to the close targets. These targets were about 6, 7 yards away here. These targets were 13 yards away from the front of the box. We have to back into the box. I decided to draw to these targets, specifically this one, and then kind of work my way up, switch on to the top target in the stack. You can see the no-shoot kind of outlining it, making this kind of higher risk. And in my mind, I was thinking that this was a minor-only division. I needed all these points, so I was probably a little sheepish for how I shot this. And then I wanted to do an exit of this position, and you can't really see it at the normal speed video. When you watch it in slow motion, I do kind of lean out of position and start backing out, but I was hoping to be like a hard move out of position on this. So with all that said, here we go. So you can see that I kind of back up there. You can see, let's see. So I do start shifting my weight backwards. Kind of lost myself here and pushed off the wall. I didn't move as aggressively to this next position. So if you were a low cap guy and you want to do this, there are 2 targets in this position right here. The way to have done it would not have been to load, but as soon as you round the corner on this barrel, you could take this target, and it's an open target at about 5 yards. Fire that would shoot you to 10, then reload into the last position where I was, which would give you a 5-shot array. But since high cap division, I just run to the last position and shoot 6 targets because I can do that. Now for the pistol shooters, I actually had the fastest time. My points weren't great. I ended up throwing a delta like right on the perf of the shoulder of this target right here. But I think I had like 4 Charlies or something like that, and then that 1 delta. But I had the fastest raw time of the pistol shooters by a pretty healthy clip. So that was pretty good. All in all, as far as the field courses were concerned, coming into the match, I wanted to be a little more aggressive, try and shoot into out of position a little more aggressively, and maybe take some stuff on the move. I did try some stuff on the move. I was not happy with how that looked. I was very sheepish. A lot of my split times on this are not what I'd want them to be, and I think that's just because I'm keenly aware of where that dot is. But let's take a look at the classifier. This classifier was not uploaded, for those wondering. It would have been about a 50% classifier because I ended up plugging the no-shoot. So those mic no-shoots hurt. If I had connected with a Charlie instead of a mic no-shoot, it would have been a 75% in carry optics. The string times were 414 and 442. 100% is 375. So let's see here. Okay, skip that. Okay, so here's the first string. I'm actually pretty pleased with how these draw times went. I think it was like a 115 on both strings for the draw. 114. So that was relatively sporty. Points were kind of okay. I think I ended up shooting 12 alpha, 1 mic no shoot, 1 delta, and the rest were Charlie. So reasonably good points, except for obviously those penalties. This one I kind of screwed up, and I think so you can see I'm taking like a little baby crow hop there. Let's try that again. So I watched Yang Lee shoot this, and he takes a much bigger step to the right, and I should have done it on the other side as well, basically so that this barricade would only cut off, just leaving the A zone, so that he has a very short crow hop to the other target. And the reason you do that is because the draw time is dead time. So if you can package 2 things at once, which is drawing and moving, then you want to do that. Since we're inside the shooting area, it's penalizing us by not having that gun up and pulling the trigger and scoring points. So you can see I take a little baby step to the right, but not nearly the step I should have taken. See, that was just like, 4 inches maybe. And as a result of this, let's see if you can see me shoot the no-shoot here. It was the second shot as I started trying to swing it on to the next target. The hit ended up being about right there. Just started moving the gun too early, trying to go fast. So that's one thing I'll just show you guys. This is something I picked up from watching the AMU guys. They all do this. If you watch like Casey Eusebio, Max Michel, Shane Coley, any of the guys who were spent any significant amount of time with the AMU, they all shuffle step when they have to move kind of laterally. They use it when they're like retreating. If like all the targets are on the left-hand side and they're only retreating 2 or 3 paces, they'll end up doing a shuffle step and keeping the gun up. So this is something that I've actually looked at and wanted to emulate in my own shooting, and it is faster. You do settle out faster and the gun stays up and on target. So you can see that one more time. There's the shuffle step right there. So that's the way to do that. Now, this target right here, I do remember being all alphas because I was really trying to fly into this position real hard. So that was kind of cool. So first week on the dot, only got about 500 rounds in, both on the platform and on the red dot. So I was reasonably pleased with how my match went this evening. The shots were a little bit slower than I'd have liked, but I think I'm beginning to understand the things I need to be working on. I'm going to work on getting lower, staying lower. You can see I'm kind of vertical right there, but so staying lower, staying more aggressive, really making sure my grip is locked in and really getting on that trigger finger and letting the chips fall where they may. So for those people who think that was a mighty sporty run and all that good stuff, I mean, it was okay for a first thing out, but this is what I'm comparing myself to. It's all what you compare yourself to. So this is Yang Lee. You've heard me mention him before. Look at those partials. He just burns through those partials. So this is what the end goal needs to be. This is what we're trying to do. And Yang Lee is one of the better shooters at it. Casey Eusebio has been shooting carry optics, and Max Michel are in carry optics. So I need to look more like this and less like what you just saw there. So thanks, guys. Anyway, I appreciate you guys checking in. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel. I appreciate that. Started up a Facebook page where you can follow this. I'll be posting kind of some diary type stuff on what I'm doing with my training, similar to what we're doing here, but just kind of some thoughts. Things that I have to organize my thoughts into writing, and so things that will ultimately end up making their way into videos will be shared on that Facebook page about what I'm training, what I'm doing, what I'm thinking about. So as we kind of get used to the red dot and see how things go. So I appreciate you guys watching. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks, guys.